Hey there, welcome to Violet's DIY Style. If this is your first time to my channel, I'm Violet and I hope you consider subscribing. If you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up and share with friends and family. So today's tutorial, I'm going to share with you how I made some coastal fall decor pieces using basically all Dollar Tree items except for the painter sticks. And what we're going to do first is I'm going to share with you how I made this pumpkin using some burlap. What you're going to do first is you're going to go ahead and grab one of the foam pumpkins and you're going to go ahead and paint it any color that you want to use. Since I'm making coastal colors or decor, I wanted to go ahead and use this really pretty light blue color from Apple Barrel, and I'll make sure to leave all the exact supplies I use down below, including the name of the colors that I'm using. So what I did was just give it one really good coat all in the entire pumpkin. I didn't worry about my stem just yet, so just go ahead and make sure that you paint your entire pumpkin very, very well, and then just go ahead and set it aside and allow it to dry. And the reason why I'm painting it is just in case it seeps through and you see some of the pumpkin. I didn't want you to see the orange color because I did want it to look more coastal. So after it was all completely dry, what I did was grab a roll of the burlap ribbon and just go ahead and hot glue it from the bottom. And then I just wrapped it around the entire pumpkin. And I just kept continuing wrapping it around and gluing it on the top or on the bottom of the pumpkin, depending on where I ended up at. So here you can see that I'm just going to go ahead and start gluing the bottom part, and then I'm going to continue wrapping it around. Just make sure you pull it really tight, especially the end, since it is wired. You want to make sure you can pull it as tight as possible and then just glue it. Once you wrap it around once, you're going to go ahead and continue wrapping it, but form that little V at the top like a triangle, just so you can start wrapping around the entire pumpkin, because if not, you'll just continue wrapping it over and over the same spot. So just go ahead and do that, and then you're going to exit towards, make an X at the end or at the bottom, and then just make sure it wraps all evenly, and again just continue crossing it and wrapping it around your entire pumpkin. And again, just make sure you pull that ribbon as tight as you can, just so you can make sure it's all nice and firm and then secure and in place. If you saw my previous tutorial, you actually saw me decorate my kitchen. I'm making all of these coastal decor pieces for one of my bathrooms. And if you want me to show you how I decorate that one, just let me know in the comments below, and I'll make sure to make a decorate with me coastal theme fall decor pieces for my bathroom. I'm absolutely in love with the way they turned out. I actually made a few more different pieces, some smaller ones. And if you follow me on Instagram or on TikTok, you'll see some of those different smaller, easier DIYs that I've been making to incorporate with these pieces that I've made today. And I'll make sure to leave all of my links of all my social media down below as well. So once you're almost done, just go ahead and continue wrapping it around. I did make sure that I glued it nice and secure towards the end. Now you can wrap it around one more time if you like from here, if you see there's a little gap. But what I did was basically just pull that one ribbon and kind of glue that one little section, because that's all that was kind of showing through. So I just added a little bit of glue and just glued down that piece of ribbon, and it covered it up nice and really nicely. So that's the way I did that, to cover that one little piece up. And just hold it until it's a little bit, at least mostly dry. And then what you're gonna do is just fold in that end after you cut the ribbon off, and then just hot glue it and fold it inwards towards the pumpkin. So next, what I decided to do was go ahead and paint the stem. At first, I thought about adding something different to give it a stem look, but after thinking about it, I just went ahead and decided to use the same stem that the pumpkin came with, and I just painted it the brown color from Apple Barrel. Go ahead and set that aside and allow it to dry. And then next, what I did was just make a bow with some navy blue ribbon and some darker blue ribbon as well. Just make any kind of bows with whatever colors you like. Even the lime green or some turquoise colors would be really pretty as well. Anything that reminds you of the beach or any coastal colors would look really pretty on this pumpkin as well. Next, what I did was I had an extra shell that I had painted with the same blue that I painted the pumpkin. So I just decided to go ahead and use one of those seashells as well. Then I grabbed some burlap and made a bow with the burlap as well. You see me do that quite a few times. Just wrap it around your fingers as many times as you like. And then you get an extra piece of jute twine and tie your knot to make that bow. So after I made all the bows that I was happy with, I went ahead and just added a little dot of glue right in the center to attach all my bows together. Once I was done doing that, I went ahead and just trimmed everything off and made sure it was nice and neat. And then I decided to start adding some shells to my bow. So the first one I added was basically the center one, that larger shell. And these come in $1 at the Dollar Tree with a bag of a whole bunch of shells. And then you're going to see that I'm going to use one of the glass jars that has a lot of miniature little mini shells that I purchased at Dollar Tree as well. And here I'm just going to go ahead and add my stem back to my pumpkin. Now I'm going to add my bow onto that stem and also kind of lean it towards the pumpkin as well. And if you want to remove the shell and make this more farmhouse, it's really simple to do that as well. So after I was done with that pumpkin, I went ahead and grabbed one of these Easter egg seashells that they had at Dollar Tree. I had a whole package of these extra, and I thought, how adorable will this look if I make it into a little pumpkin? So what I did was basically paint it the same blue, and I just gave it one really good coat because it has a really pretty sheen white color. So I thought if it seeps through, it's going to look really pretty anyway. So I just went ahead and just gave it one coat of the blue paint. So once I was done painting my shell, I went ahead and allowed it to dry. And then I got a popsicle stick and just gave it a little bit darker, like a stain color to my popsicle stick. Of course, you can leave it the color as is. Then I just cut it smaller, basically a little bit more or less than half. I removed a little piece of the top part of my shell just so I can glue my stick to it, and my popsicle stick, and I can actually close the seashell close together once I add that popsicle stick. So that's important for you to cut that little piece off. And now you're just going to go ahead and add some glue all around your shell and attach it together. Now I wanted it to be able to stand on its own, so what I did was grab that little popsicle stick, that extra piece, and just cut a little piece of the popsicle stick and hot glued it to the bottom of my shell. Make sure you sand the ends off as well. And I just used a little bit of hot glue to attach it to the bottom. And then once it was completely dry, I just painted that little popsicle stick the same color I painted my shell. And there you have it, an adorable pumpkin. But I wanted to go ahead and add a little bit extra. So what I did was just grab some jute twine, make a little bow. And I had some green raffia, like gift box filler, and what I did was just basically grab a few of those strands and tie them around the popsicle stick to make it look like a stem, just so it can look more like a pumpkin, or at least you could tell what it was. So I just cut 2 strands in half and then again just tied it around the popsicle stick. Just add a little bit of hot glue right where the popsicle stick and the greenery that you added, the raffia, to make sure that it stays in place. And then I just trimmed off all of the different raffias, different sizes and length. And then what I did after I added the hot glue, I basically pulled apart the raffia just to give it more of a fuller look. If you know an easier way to do this, let me know in the comments below. This is the only way I know how to pull it apart. And then once I was done doing that to both sides, I went ahead and just added my little bow right in the center of my popsicle stick. And there you have an adorable seashell pumpkin. So my next project, what I did was grab all of those pieces that I had from the extra from my project that I made of my basket, and these are the handles of the the painter sticks. And what I decided to do with these was paint them 2 different browns, and I gave them one good coat and then wiped them down to give it more of that distressed look. And then I'm going to make a wreath with these to make it more of a coastal look. If you haven't seen how I made my basket using the painter sticks, I'll make sure to leave a link of that down below as well, so you can go ahead and enjoy that tutorial after this one. So here I am just basically wiping them all down, and you can wipe them down or sand them down. I'm just using an old sponge that I use just for this kind of projects, and I just wipe down the paint, and I did it to the front and the back of each one of these pieces of wood. And this is the way, this one has more like a redder tone and the other one had more of a darker brown tone. So I did just a few of each one, and then I left some of them just as is. And after they were all completely dry, I went ahead and started using some hot glue to glue them onto my ring. Now you don't have to use one of these rings like I showed you. You could use one of the mirror frames as well. Anything, or even one of the metal wreath frames that you can purchase at Dollar Tree as well. Anything round or squared you can use. And then I'm just going to start gluing on these pieces of wood, just random different styles, random, each one a different color, just so I can wrap them around this ring. And what I'm doing is basically fanning them to make it look more fuller and make it look like a wreath. So all I did was fan them. But what I did was, after the third one, it was kind of lifted and I couldn't glue it onto the wreath. So what I did was actually glue another piece of wood towards the bottom of it, like so. And I did this and then I allowed it to dry. So every 3 of the sticks, you're going to have to insert one of the sticks underneath it, and you'll be able to see that it kind of lifts. So after the third one, I would recommend you inserting one of the sticks underneath, and then just continue doing that until you're completely done with your entire wreath. And what I did, I'm going to show you right now, is after you glue that bottom piece, after your third stick, just go ahead and allow it to dry. And I'm going to show you what I did just to make sure that all of them stayed nice and secured and all of them were glued to one another. So you'll see that gap. And after you let it dry, just go ahead and add a little bit of hot glue right there and then pinch them together and it'll stay. And that way it's going to stay more sturdy and durable, and you're going to be able to attach all of the sticks together. And that's important so they won't fall apart in case it accidentally falls or anything like that. And plus you won't see any gaps. So again, just do that after every 3 of the sticks that you glue onto your ring. And again, I'm using this as a coastal theme, just based on what I added to the center of my wreath. But I know I'm just going to go ahead and remove that bow after fall. And I most likely will use this in my kitchen, more of a farmhouse style for Christmas. And I love doing that with my wreaths. I like using them all year round if possible, just depending on what. So I try to make my wreaths more of a neutral, especially when I'm using them indoors. That way I can just remove the bow or the florals that I added to my wreath and change it up for whatever holiday. And again, after the third one, just add that glue in the center and then close it together. Just make sure that you do allow those to dry before you do try to glue that third one to the other one, to the fourth one, just because that way, if not, you're just going to move all of them around and you're going to have to re-glue them. So just make sure they're completely dry before you stick each one of those together, each third one. So once you're completely done and you've added all of your sticks to the ring that you're going to make your wreath with, you can leave it as is and it looks adorable, or like I had some extra ones, and as you can see, they're all the same color basically. I left them the natural color. You can do something with them, which I'm going to show you right now. You can just glue them all around in the center to form that circle. If you want to give it that more of a detailed look, or just, you know, to cover up the ends. But to me, it didn't bother me to see the ends of those sticks. But I just wanted to show you that you can do this as well to cover up those ends. But like I said, I decided not to do that. So what I did was just basically grab some more of the jute twine, wrap it around my fingers, and I just wrapped it around, I want to say about 10, maybe 5 times, I'm sorry, somewhere around there. It just depends on how much of a, or big of a bow you want to make. And then again, just with that extra piece of jute twine, I tied it in the center to form my bow. Make sure you take time to adjust your bow and make sure everything's in the center and where you want it to be on that bow, and then just glue it onto your wreath. Next, what I decided to do is add some of these miniature shells that I have from that little jar that I was talking to you about, that has a lot of little miniature shells in it. And I just grabbed a few of them and glued them to the end of my hanging rope from my jute twine, just to give it more of that coastal look. Then I decided to grab another one of the shells and just put it right in the center of my bow. And there you have it. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another pumpkin using a mop head. And what I did was add some blue dye to some water, and then I put all of the dye and let it soak for about 15 minutes. While I did that, I painted my pumpkin. Then I started gluing my mop strings to my pumpkin. And this one's going a lot faster because I actually posted this one on TikTok, so I had to speed it up. But I wanted to let you guys see how I made this extra pumpkin for my coastal decor. So I just continued adding my mop rope that I dyed with the blue all around my pumpkin. And I want to say I left my mop rope in the water, the dyed water, for a good 2 hours, but it just depends on how long you leave it and how much dye you add to that water is how dark it's going to be. Then once I colored or glued all the rope around my pumpkin, I just went ahead and wrapped some jute twine around the top of my pumpkin. Then I grabbed one of the wirings from Dollar Tree as well, glued it right in the center, and then continued wrapping my jute twine around all that rope. And I did that because I wanted it to get thinner as I went up. So I decided to leave all that extra rope inside just to give it more of a thicker look until I went all the way to the top of my wire. And make sure you use gloves. As you can see, I didn't, and I ended up having blue fingers all day. So once I was done with that, I just twisted that wiring at the end, and then I just went ahead and made a little simple bow at the bottom with some more jute twine, and then added a shell at the bottom as well. Then you can just twist your stem any way you want because it has the wiring. And there you go. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you go and check out some more of my tutorials that I've made for fall decor pieces. If you did enjoy this tutorial, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up and also share with friends and family. It'll truly help my channel grow. So until next time, you guys stay blessed. Bye.